For sure. The mention of Birmingham is a good segue to our next club, Aston Villa, who will be charging at least £70 for Champions League tickets. Is this a bad look for the club after such success on field, or you have to expect the Champions League tickets are a little bit more expensive?
Yeah, look, it's not just 70. I think the majority are going to be around about 90s and 95s, which is a big number. There has been a big fan reaction against this. I understand the Villa fan base. Obviously, I was there for a period of time. I got to know a lot of the fans. They're traditional, good, honest fans, and this was a bit of a kick in the teeth as far as they were concerned, because you'd think that loyal, traditional fans would think the Champions League was almost a reward. And while they understand that there is a slight increase, to see it the size it's been difficult for them to take. The other thing, when you actually look at it, the actual money that they're going to make, the club's going to make from these increases is relatively small. It's about maybe 1.3, 1.4 million pounds over the cost of the games they're going to have in the 8 game stages. So they've got 4 home games. So is it really worth upsetting all your fan base for such a small amount of money? Now, the other hand of this is that we are seeing everywhere you go now inflation in entertainment prices. And, I know in the States it's been the same. We're seeing it in entertainment, we're seeing it in concerts. We've seen it with Oasis over here in terms of the cost of tickets with their tour coming back. You're seeing it in every aspect of entertainment. So, is it really wrong for football to think it should be also having the inflation? I think a lot of it's the way it's been done. And I think there could have been better consultation with the fan groups, certainly, and that should have been the way to have put it forward. And perhaps it could have been, as I say, they're not making that much out of this, so perhaps it could have restrained it slightly on this first season. Fans understand we need money to do things in clubs, but so I'm sort of split between the two situations of the reality of inflation happening right now for entertainment, and I think there could have been a better execution on this than the way it was done. So that's my upset with that situation at Villa.
And there's potentially more upset to be had. Club has backtracked on doubling disabled parking prices. I guess that was due to some upset people. What do you make of that situation and the pressure they might be feeling from the fans?
Well, it's Villa and Man City both have backtracked on the disabled situation, and that is an own goal that should never ever have happened. I mean, that's something. Every year I'd be looking at prices, and every year potentially there was, how do we handle the disabled fans? Well, my view was always, well, how can we reduce it further rather than how can we increase it? I don't see how you could look at your disabled fan base as a revenue earner. It just feels wrong to me. But perhaps I'm outdated. Perhaps I'm just too nice a guy. But I just find that incredible. And for Villa to backtrack, it just wasn't thought through, and it just obviously hadn't been, the committee that had done this had obviously just been following orders to get to a certain number, and so they must have rounded things up. But it's a PR nightmare, and at least that they've taken the pain quickly, backtracked on it, done a U-turn, but it's now going to be held against them, I'm sure, for a long time.
Potentially the backtrack coming from Aston Villa being on track now to smash the £300 million barrier for commercial and match day income. Will this allow them to keep spending like they did this summer without any PSR issues?
No, I think it's something that PSR is in the mix, but this isn't going to be the main source of revenue to help avoid PSR. Player trading will still have to be the main issue around that. But it's something that's in the mix. It's something they have. This is why they're looking at all the revenue streams they can do, and I get that. I understand that, but there has to be a sensitivity to this as well. Now, this is being led by a guy called Chris Heck. I don't know if you know him, Will, from his previous time I think he was in the NBA. I think it was Philadelphia, and we should look at a little bit back into his record over there as to how he raised prices and did the similar sort of thing that he's doing at Villa. It seems pretty clear that they understand they want to get the revenue up, and they don't care how they do it in many ways. That doesn't fly so well with the traditional fans, as I said, particularly around the Birmingham area. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But again, as I say, I'm in two camps. I understand the need for the PSR requirements. Another unintended consequence of PSR, which we've been railing against earlier. And so here we are again. Now the fans are being hit by this ridiculous set of rules. So again, I'd like to see a summit called urgently on PSR from all the clubs and bring in some other advisors as well, some experts. Bring in the Kieran Maguires and some other people to speak, some lawyers as well. Let's have a summit about PSR and see if we can, get the Premier League to work on this and see if we can find a better way forward.